Here with young Cados, and we are going to go through every AFL team's pass marks for the season. We got to hold some sort of court of law around here, some principles, some morals, and some stern footballing capabilities from each team. Some might seem lenient, some might seem harsh. Also, Adelaide Crows, what is their pass mark for the season?
Make finals for mine? Is that what you're feeling?
Yes. I think they have to make finals under the win a final or just make it?
Nah, just make it. Because they brought in experienced names, Cumming, Peatling, Alex Neil-Bullen, who was involved in everything the other night with their pracky game. So, I think they're mature enough. They only just missed out because the umpire got the score review wrong a couple of years ago. So they should have already had a final series under their belt. Probably make it this year.
They haven't played finals under Matty Dix yet, have they?
No, and if they don't, you feel like heads will roll.
Last year was a real fall-off year for them after, as you said, the score review, stitching them up a bit. You thought they were really going to come hard into the next year, and they just sort of never got going last year. Brisbane Lions, well, really, after winning the flag, there's only one way you can go.
Is it as simple as win a premiership, or do you think, say they made a third grand final in a row and lost it, would that not be good enough, or would that start to be a bit of a wasted era?
Well, it sort of depends. I don't think it's like if you make the grand final and lose, obviously it's disappointing, but you don't look and go, this is a waste of time, this is a terrible year. Like, obviously, if you're playing footy to that level to make the grand final and you lose it. But I just feel as though after winning one, if you don't win it again, it's not like a failure, as I said, but I don't know. I feel like you sort of, that's the pass mark, really. They've done it to themselves.
Yeah. No, I like it. Especially, I know they lost Joe, but they've got another Ashcroft running around. So,
Uday to come in.
They might be better.
There's potential. A lot of people are saying that.
If you listen to the grapevine.
Yeah, if you listen to the old sheiks and messiahs,
we've got a tiny lag at the moment. So if people are questioning the chemistry, just thinking that we're rusty, we're not rusty. We're just experiencing some internet.
I can see that might help things out a bit. I can't see the schmoss, man. I don't know if none of that's going in. Right, Carlton, what do we feel is the pass mark for the Baggers?
They probably have to start, they've been in this window for a while, so I feel like they almost have to make a grand.
I agree. I absolutely agree, and that's so brutal for how rough their season went last year, but the talent on that list, it's one of the best spines of a footy team we've seen in a while, and I think Vossi feels like he's got something about him that could, push him over the line.
Yeah, I don't think they're far away, but they have to, as you said, they've got to make one now. A prelim wouldn't suffice the Carlton supporters.
Nope, I agree. So Baggers make a grand final. The Pies.
I think they're ready to go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like they have to win a flag with the ageing group they've got. I'm not one to buy into they're too old to win it. I think they can win it, but I also think with that group, if they don't win it this year, it's only going to get harder next year and the year after, unless they do a heap of movements. But win a premiership, you happy with that?
Happy with that.
Got any other thoughts and feelings on the Pies, or we move on?
No, I like the experience that they've added. I think it's sort of a bit moneyball. I know that that's a cliche term that gets thrown around when people start picking sort of delisted free agents or going after established players, but Perryman, Houston, and Membry, I don't know. It does feel a little bit moneyball. It feels a little bit off Broadway, some of those selections, but it could work. And Craig McRae's a genius, so if they win another one, he would be one of the. Well, he already is. I think tactically one of the better coaches, but he would go up another level if he can snag another one.
Absolutely agree. The Bombers. I think it just has to be win a final. I don't care where they're being ranked or what their abilities are. They must win that final. They must get that monkey off the back. And until they do, I think every single year it's going to be win a final.
It's genuinely a thing for them. And I know that the Bombers and the Saints seem to be in no man's land in terms of the AFL, and they've both been there for years, but they're not bottom six, but they're never top eight. They just live in this middle ground. And it seems like the Saints have gotten younger and they're resetting the reset. And everyone assumes that the Bombers are doing the same, but I don't think they are. I think the Bombers are a year off from jumping right up and becoming a top six, playing finals again. Hopefully they can do it this year, but I don't think the Bombers are far away for something.
I sort of coming into the season, I well, I know the season hasn't started yet, but coming into like pre-season, I was like, oh, the Bombers they're going to drop. They're no good. Not no good, but I don't know. But they've got something in them, and we know Brad Scott can take a bit of a sad and sorry group to deep in the promised land. I don't know. I think Caddy looks like he's got it. He's got something about him, that kid. Kako, obviously, we've only seen one like proper outing from him against the Cats. I know he played the crack against the Dogs as well, but he looked something special. If you get something out of Draper, like we all know his potential, but I feel like getting outplayed by a 55-year-old Todd Goldstein. Like, yeah, exactly. I think potentially the Jake Stringer move could be good for Stringer and for Essendon. I don't know. You get Ridley healthy, you get Mackay in the system looking good again. Definitely could happen for the Bombers this year.
No, great call.
The Freo Dockers is a real weird one. I feel like it's a similar sort of thing to maybe even a Carlton and an Adelaide, where it feels like there's been growth without real growth. Like they are.
Yeah.
I know Freo and Carlton have won finals in the last couple of years. Yeah. So I know Freo and Carlton are a bit different to Adelaide, but all three of those teams sort of feel like they need to be pushing further than what they have. Like, Freo sort of had a wasted year last year. They sort of threw it all away in the last month.
Freo last year was funny because they were in the top 3 with like 4 or 5 rounds to go, and they were a win away from solidifying like a top 4 spot. And no one in the competition felt like they were real. And that would be a frustrating feeling as a Freo supporter and someone who follows the club. Like, you know, we're quite close with Drews, and I was riding every biff, bump and brawl with Drews across the Dockers season. And every time he was almost prepared to stamp him as legit and real, they'd have a little speed bump. I think they had a speed bump down against the Hawks in Launceston, a game they should have won. Yeah. And then they dropped off and lost their last 4 of the season. But
getting walloped by Essendon after being up at the G that was a painful one for Fremantle faithful.
Yeah. And that, you know, you play that game 100 times. I feel like Freo are winning 60 or 70 of those, especially the teams last season. So the Dons just turned it on that game. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, Freo are a team that we're not going to believe them until we see it. Like, no one's going to properly stamp them as a premiership contender until they prove it, because they've probably fallen short too many times for anyone to trust. But in saying that, I think their midfield's one of the better midfields in the comp. I think their forward line's starting to really develop with big Kahuna, and then you've got Jaya Miss, and then you've got their smalls are really tasty now that Shea Bolton's there, Michael Frederick's good. And then I think their backline's been solid for years in Luke Ryan and Alex Pearce. So I feel like they're ready to go, but does that mean the expectation should be make a grand final? Like, I feel like they're ready to go, and I think they've been talking like they're ready to go. But is saying make a grand final too harsh?
I think it's make a prelim. I almost feel like last year that was their make a final year, even though they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And even though, because because Adelaide have never done it, they get the grace of just making finals. Freo don't get making finals. They don't get the winner final. They've done that in the last 3 years.
Yeah, true.
I think make a prelim, and then next year, if you can keep that progression. We know football's not linear, and it doesn't work like that, but I am happy with make a prelim for the Dockers. The Cadders.
I've got a newfound respect.
Very weird one. Mate. Newfound? What are you talking about?
No, I sort of discredited their work for a long, long time. I thought they got quite lucky that Gary Ablett wandered back into the club, and Jeremy Cameron wanted a farm, and Patrick Dangerfield happens to live in Moggs Creek. Like, there's not many clubs that get superstars just wandering in for no reason. It's very hard to attract top-end talent like that. And then when the D's won in 2021, I was like, man, I sort of learned how hard it is to win a flag and how many bounces of the ball you need to go right. You need the boys to be fit, and you just need everything to go right. And I was like, man, winning a flag is hard, let alone being a good club for so long. And then the Cats did it 12 months later. And I went, well, I think I just got to tip my hat. I think I had so much pent-up competitiveness and frustration about this organisation. And then 12 months later, they won the grand final, and I just went, well, fair play. Like, they are just unbelievable.
Yeah, I just think you just got to look at they don't leave any stone unturned. The Cats, they trust that they can get the glimpse that they see into a fully fledged AFL superstar. Like, look at Stengel, Blickarves, fucking Tom Stewart.
Well, what
All
about
these guys that like aren't like I know Tom Stewart very talented and he was sort of his own doing that he didn't really want to get right into the AFL system, but even like Scarlett being connected to Cats and going, we're taking this guy, he's a fucking superstar. Blickarves is a fucking runner, and I think it was Cam Guthrie's dad told the Cats to have a look at him, like pick him up, and they turned him into the most versatile footballer of all time. Tyson Stengel was written off by the Crows. You get him in, all Australian. It's crazy. All these average footballers that they just get their system going. Chris Scott's a genius. It's a crazy club. It's just so much respect.
Yeah, well, I even look at a player like Zach Guthrie. If Zach Guthrie walked through the Melbourne Footy Club in 2015, he would have been out in 2017.
Yeah.
And he became a whipping boy for the Cats for years. And it's like, why are they persevering with this person when they could just get an 18-year-old in from the draft who could probably overtake him? But they just they work and like they get a good person who has the right effort and their right focus, and they know that if they put them through their program, it might take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it'll eventually click, and it did. So they're crazy. But what would their pass mark?
I think it's win the premiership. Not saying that if they make a grand final again, similar like Brisbane, it's not like, oh my God, what a failure year. Like I think last year the Cats had a pretty good season, even though they didn't, I don't know, backing up all the...
They went from 14th to 4th. Maybe it was 12th.
And they were Archie and Rayner away from making a premiership. So,
well, yeah, they would have. Well, if the Swans dished up what they dished up again against the Cats as they did the Lions, the Cats have won 2 flags in 2 years.
Exactly. So, I think last year was a good year for them, and I think this year win a premiership is the pass mark. But again, it's not like fuck. What a terrible year if they happen to, finish 6th and win a final or something. Like, it's not disgusting because, Geelong just do what Geelong do, and backing it up year after year and giving your fans, like, a good season to watch. Like, they don't even know what I'm going through as a North Melbourne fan. They don't know what you had to go through as a D's fan. Like, every year they go, oh, we finished 10th. We only won 8 games this year. I haven't seen 8 wins in 5 seasons. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's horrible. They'll dish up competitive efforts. They could win a flag. They might not make finals. I don't know. But you got to trust the Cats. And I think win premiership is, that's the pass mark.
Nice. Next one's tricky.
The Suns. I think it has to be make finals, I think, personally.
Is that a little bit
what do you think?
Soft in terms of, like, they've been sitting at this make finals mark for so many years. Is it as simple as the talent's so good, the home ground advantage now? I think they won 10 of 11 at home or whatever last year. They turned it into a fortress. So they now have what Geelong and the Lions have in terms of a home ground advantage. Is it win a final?
I'm hearing you. And you know what? It's rare that I would concede to you so quickly, Macca, but I'm putting them in win a final. I think that's good. I like that gear from you. I think you're right. The talent is just ridiculous.
Maybe they've underachieved for a couple of years in a row. They've just sat in that middle part of the ladder. And maybe they will get that pop where they just make the jump. But I think expectations need to be a little bit higher. And of course, and this is probably a little bit hypocritical, and I'm going back on my word, if they made a final, came down to the G and lost in a close one, I think we'd all go, fuck, fair play. But I think going into this season, it's almost like you want to make it and make a bit of an impact in September.
Yeah. Yeah, retrospectively, pass marks are a bit different too. Yeah. But win a final is where we're putting them, and I like it. Macca. Ambitious. The Giants.
I think win the premiership. I think they're ready to go.
Yeah. They've come very close in the last 2 years to making that grand final. So it's almost like you get 2 very close efforts to making the grand final, counts as making it, and you got to get that.
Well, it feels like a lot of teams that have won it recently, the Lions made prelim, granny, loss, and then they won. The Pies made a couple of prelims, and then they won. The Cats make a prelim every year before they won. So I feel like that history and resume is... And it means nothing, absolutely nothing going into a season. You're not given a grand final win just because you've made a couple of prelims. But I feel like it holds you in good stead and sort of shapes your list and makes them battle harder.
Yep. No, I like that. I don't think there's much more to say on the Giants, to be honest. I think you summed it up pretty good. Win premiership. I like that.
Thank you, mate.
Now, got you, Cobber.
Cheers, brother.
For the Hawks, this might seem a bit lenient. I want to sit them at winner final.
They won a final
I think
last year.
so I feel like they jumped ahead so far last year of
Yeah.
that rebuild, and they made so much progress that I don't think a backwards year for the Hawks would be terrible.
No, and it wouldn't be surprising either.
No, it's hard for a young group to back it up. The way they played last year was sort of like, well, we're young lads, we can have a crack. This is the way Mitch wants us to play, carefree footy. Let's just fucking bingo bango, balls to the wall, go hard footy. And it was great to watch. It was unreal, most exciting team in the comp. But now you come into a season with a bit of pressure, a bit of expectation. People know that you want to play footy like that. You're going to get the big dogs, riled. Then we're going to get walked over by these fuckers that are going to do celebrations and take selfies on us again. So I think if they could still show that progression and sort of work on their defensive side of the game, which obviously adding fucking Barras and Battle into the squad is going to help. I think it's win a final. I know that you said they did it last year, but I personally think if they win another final and lost in the second round of finals, or if they made a top four and won and then lost the prelim, I think that would be a good year for the Hawks. I also think it's okay if they finish 10th this year and go backwards a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think especially it just feels like from 14th to 4th, you could almost shuffle the ladder and it would make sense. Like I'm seeing so many ladder predictions where Gold Coast and Adelaide are in, and I'm not going, what the hell? This guy knows nothing. I'm seeing ladder predictions where the D's and Freo and the Pies are in, and I'm going, oh, that makes sense. So, as you said, if the Spotify shuffle just meant that the Hawks just miss out this season, but they were half a game off or percentage off, it wouldn't be a backward step. They should be in and amongst it. And I actually think that's like a really smart way to view it. Like making a prelim, I feel like that's ridiculous expectations considering they bowed out in a semi. Like I think winning another final and backing it up would be enormous. And then I feel like this time next year, they'll be one of the premiership favourites.
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we're both on side with this pick. I think last year, if you were doing this exact thing going into last season, you would have maybe had the Hawks avoid bottom four as their path. And for them to genuinely get into win a final, I think if they do what they did last year, they're laughing. Demons. I'll put this one out quick because I want to hear what you have to say because you know the inside outs of the club a bit better than me. But I personally look at the Ds and go, that list is only getting older. I know you got some young talent coming through, but for the most part, the superstars are only getting older. It's still very much capable and probably should have achieved more than what it has after winning that flag. I would think this year make finals. Is that too lenient?
So there is an interesting piece of context to where I think make finals, like it can't be just make finals. And it's because in 2022, when we were 10-0, so in 2021, when we won the flag, we were 9-0 and then lost to Adelaide. The following year, we win 10 in a row. If you look at Geelong after they saluted a couple of years ago, they lost their first three. If you look at the Pies last season, I think they lost their first three. So for the Ds to win a flag in 21 and then win 10 straight, it was ridiculous. We almost had one hand on the cup. In that season, through injuries and a couple of other things, we went out in straight sets. So that's two finals in a row you lose. The next season, we finished fourth. We go out in straight sets by a kick each. We were one kick away in 2 games from making a prelim. So that's 4 finals in a row that you lose. If the Ds make finals this year and lose again, that's 5 finals in a row that you've lost. And I think it becomes a thing. So I think the expectation has to be you need to win one. If you make it, whether it's an elimination and it's on that Saturday night or that Friday night and it's against Gold Coast or whatever and it's 6th versus 7th, I think the Ds can't lose a 5th final in a row. Otherwise, it's like a bit of a thing and almost a hoodoo or a curse.
So are you telling me winner final is where they should be?
I think it has to be winner final.
We'll put them there. Maybe I was being too lenient just because of all the outside noise, but the list is good enough too. I don't know. It just feels like there's been so much mess around the Ds. Last year was a pretty horror year. As you said, 5 finals. I don't know. I just think if they just made the finals, I get what you're saying with the losing of finals, but because last year felt like such a backward step.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think but the list is older, so it's not like a completely new group. The list is an All-Australian quality.
The list is old and the list is young. So it's like
Yeah.
in
There's no
2025,
medium connector guys.
can you bridge the gap a little bit? That's the
Yeah.
challenge, and I suppose there's a lot of culture stuff that they need to fix as well. And it sounds by all reports that they're doing a great job at that, but it's just it's 31-year-olds and 21-year-olds, and it's like it didn't work last year. So it's like if they can find a little bit better balance, then I reckon they should be able to win a final.
I hear you, Schmozo. Right, my Roo boys. I think it's avoid bottom four, even though we haven't been able to avoid the bottom two the last few years. I like them at avoid bottom four because, as we were sort of talking about a little bit earlier, it's been so bad for so many years with no tangible improvement on the win column. That this year finally feels like the year. Yeah, it really feels like the year that you have to. I'm not just looking to be, we competed with some top sides. We nearly beat them. You have to get at least 6 wins. At least. Minimum. Bare minimum. Win 6 games. Doesn't have to be the prettiest footy. You have to get that, show that the group can play 4 quarters and actually get a fucking win. So avoid bottom 4. And I don't know, that's maybe even a bit lenient. Like, I don't think they're good enough to make finals. I don't think the pass markers make finals. Maybe we should have had something in between because, I don't know. I think it's just something has to give.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they've got such a good group across the board. I remember when the tide started to turn for Richmond was when you started to look at the list and they had 2 or 3 players that could make a claim as being one of the best players in the comp. So when the Tigers, who were missing finals and whatnot, they had Rance and you go, far out, Rancey's pretty good. Oh, geez, Trent Cotchin's pretty good. Oh, wow, Rewalt's pretty good. Oh, wow, they've got this Dusty guy. And then they built that dynasty around them. And I'm looking at the Roos at the moment and you go, geez, Nick Larkey's one of the best forwards in the comp. You could probably argue he's top 2, 3, 4, 5. You go, geez, Tristan
I'd have him
Cherry,
definitely top 5, yeah.
Tristan Cherry is the best, if not the second best ruck at the moment in the competition. And Harry Sheezel's making a claim to be a top 3, 4, 5 mid. His stats are undeniable. I think he still can go up a level with the impact on the game, but his numbers are as good as Dacos's were in the first couple of seasons. So I'm starting to see the start of like the change for North. It's just whether a couple of the other boys can come to the party. But I think they should be able to win 6 games this year.
Power, what are you feeling?
Make a grand final. They cannot keep making prelims and semi-finals. They've been doing it for years and years. I reckon, like, even in like 2018 and 2019, I feel like they were always making prelims and getting close. And 2020, they'll probably kick away from making a granny. They've teased for so long. They've been in and around it for so long. So I feel like they just need to break through and actually make the big dance.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Got him at make a grand final. I think such weird timing to announce the succession plan a couple of weeks out from round 1. Don't know what the fuck's going on there. Butters just announced today or yesterday that he's out for the first 6 to 8 weeks. Port Adelaide are a bit of a shambles, I think. I don't have anything against. I like a lot of their players. I just don't know what the fuck is going on there. Make a grand final, they're definitely not going to do it for me, but that is their pass mark, I believe. That was quite nasty and efficient on the pair, but that's all right.
We love the pair. We've always loved the pair.
Oh, yeah, I like the pair. It just annoys me, that shit. Like, why would you announce Ken Hinkley is going to be succeeded by Josh Carr a month away from round 1? I just don't understand why the fuck you would do that. But anyway, the Tigers, I feel like avoid wooden spoon. We were discussing a little bit of this earlier. I feel like avoid the wooden spoon is sort of not their pass mark, but you can't get any lower. I feel like if they win the spoon, Layla, who's already injured, gets healthy, it shows a bit. I don't know, maybe you just want to see a bit of connection. You want to see young guys looking good, connection, a bit of an identity, a building of an identity. I think they could finish bottom of the ladder and still have a pass mark of a season, to be honest, because they're that young. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. You don't want to only win 1 or 2 games, though. So if you could get to 3, if you could get to 4, which is probably a big ask, and still win the wooden spoon, then I think you've had almost the perfect year. But I guess going into the season, you would set the bar at avoiding the wooden spoon. You like no one wants to win the wooden spoon.
I don't know. I reckon the CEO might quietly be going, I hope we get the spoon, get that number 1 pick. The Sainers, weird one. Very, very weird one. They looked pretty good in that Cracky game against Carlton the other day. For them, I think it's winner final.
Win, yeah. I suppose they made it a couple of years ago.
I think it's winner final. Yeah, I think it's winner final. They lost to the Giants that final at the G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had
For me,
70,000 there
winner
as well.
final.
For a Marvel team that, would average 28,000 per game. Because I remember I was like, why don't they have this at Marvel? And then they had like 75,000. It's like, oh, wow, fair play to the Saints faithful coming out to support them. But yeah, I think there's so much talk in the media that they're getting younger and they're getting less experience. So there's a lot of talk that they won't fulfill that expectation at all. There's a lot of talk that they're sort of rebuilding the rebuild, weirdly. So I'm really interested to see whether Ross, which he does so often, can do a lot with a little. They're going to be so young this season. Travalia, Taru.
He looks good, doesn't he?
Darcy Wilson, Windhager, Owens.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like they're getting younger, but maybe Ross can move the chess pieces and get the most out of them again.
So do you think winner finals too stiff? Would you have them make finals?
No, I think if they made a final a couple of years ago, naturally in my head, it's like winner final. But some of the sentiment coming out of the club, it feels like that they're not preparing for that. But maybe I'm just reading into the tea leaves wrong.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be. They did look good the other day against Carlton, but that is a pracky, and you can't, buy too much into that shit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to see from St Kilda. I feel like they're probably going to be one of the teams with finals aspirations that gets left out of the shuffle. But for some reason, a couple of years ago, I think, winner finals fair because, as we said, Adelaide haven't quite, made the finals. St Kilda did a couple of years ago. So, we're both happy with winner final. The Swannies, it's got to be winner premiership, doesn't it?
Yeah, good call. Man, I remember saying to one of our mates, Cal Stevens, growing up, he was a big Swan supporter. And I said to him, mate, I'm so jealous of you. Like, your team's in a grand final every couple of years. And he says, mate, I've seen 2 flags, which I'm grateful for, but I've watched like 5 or 6 of us losing them or whatever it is. Yeah,
that is frustrating when you're getting close to that hump. A lot of people picking them to drop. I don't see why they should. Like, I know it's a new coach, but they got that much talent there. The back line might be a bit of an issue, but I think win a premiership. After getting walloped last year, it's the only place to go. The Eagles, tough one. Is it avoid bottom 4?
I think they're still in avoid wooden spoon territory, but
wooden spoon.
That's where I have.
Yeah,
I can't see them. I can't see them avoiding the bottom 4.
Yeah, I can't either.
Like I think if they finish second last, third last, that could be a pass, but. If they win the wooden spoon, it's a disaster.
Just quickly, looking at a North Melbourne fan, I go, avoid bottom 4. But then when I have all the teams lined up like this, like I know, obviously 5 teams aren't going to win the fucking premiership, and this is just what the pass mark is, but I'm going, who are we going to finish above? Like, what a horror show of a year.
People are tipping Bulldogs to slide, and if you believe the sentiment coming out the Saints, I think they're potentially recalibrating. So it's like,
do we want to move the Saints to make finals, or is theirs just avoid bottom 4?
I think it's win a final. Right. I think publicly it's win a final, but I think internally they're recalibrating.
Right. So what about the Doggies? I think theirs has to be win a final. They made finals last year.
I think,
or is theirs make a prelim?
No, win a final.
Fuck. It's going to be a lot of sad groups of footy administrators at the end of the season because not all of these teams will be able not all of these teams are going to be able to reach their pass marks.
I'm pretty happy with that list. I think I'm a very astute football watcher and supporter, and I think this makes sense as much as it doesn't make sense. Like I think it makes sense. If you go on each team's base by base case, I think it makes a lot of sense. But let us know if you would shuffle some. Who would you put up? Who would you put down? But looking at it right now, I'm pretty comfortable with it all.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. The beauty of footy is people are going to have different opinions, and we love that. Hoping to have this channel as a bit of a platform to get people on and discuss things.
We love the discourse.
Footy. We do. I love talking footy. And we're not always going to be right, but that's okay because we have passion in our hearts and our mind. This is the chat. No, sorry. So drop a like and a subscribe. Cheers, guys. You're all sexy. Thanks, Dos the boss.
No worries.